Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to another one of these Irish Stew videos where I talk about whatever happens to be on my mind, whatever happens to have caught my eye in the news or whatnot, not just books. So we will start with the broader world, and then we can move on to the United States of America, my own country, and then broader YouTube, and then BookTube, my own country, and then finally me. And in the world news, the thing that should be catching my attention, the thing that I should be talking about mainly, exclusively, is this weird, obviously fake ceasefire in Gaza. Much has been made of it. It has been talked about in the news endlessly. I have read almost no accounts about it that seem to tell the truth about it, and that is really strange. Even in our own ideologically compromised era, that is really strange. I have read all the pertinent demands and all the pertinent paperwork, and it's just delusional. It's just delusional. And so I don't know. I don't know what to make of its future. Although its present was easy to predict, just as easy as sunrise to predict, which is that Israeli forces are going to keep killing Palestinians. So they're just going to keep doing that, and a whole bunch of absolutely blood-chilling clips have come out of other kinds of violence, not just pure military, but all sorts of collaborators being executed in a public square and face down in the dirt and whatnot. Just, I should be talking about that because you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that for the rest of his time in office, from now until 2047, Donald Trump is just routinely going to be saying, I ended 10 wars, I brought peace to the Middle East, and he'll just roll on. He'll just roll on with it. And since at the Pentagon, at the White House, on the White House lawn, on White House grounds, on Air Force One, no adversarial or even fact-checking press is allowed anymore, he will be allowed to just roll on with saying that. And you should get accustomed to it now. The history books are going to say that as well. Blatant lies. They're just going to do it. They're just going to roll on. Nothing is going to stop this guy. He is our own tiny, stupid little version of the God Emperor of Dune. So nothing is going to stop him, and history books are going to reflect it, unless they're written outside this country. American history books are going to reflect those blatant lies. The reason why that it's on, it should be foremost on my mind is that he's going to say that for the next 20 years. He's going to say, I solved 10 wars, I brought peace to the Middle East, when he didn't bring peace to the Middle East. Factually, did not bring peace to the Middle East. And so naturally that should be on my mind. But more persistently on my mind in the last day I made the mistake of watching the whole of his remarks to the Israeli Congress, the Knesset. And it was horrifying. They play bells and ring trumpets for him before he talks, at his demand. And also their response to dissent in the crowd of elected members in the Knesset was savagely quick and violent. It reminded me so much of Saddam Hussein. It reminded me so much of how if there's the slightest bit of discord in the room, the discord is hurled out of the room. I can only assume from the way the two people who disrupted were escorted from the room that they were executed in the hallway. I can only assume that. That's certainly the impression that was meant to give. And you could tell on Trump's face that he wished that it had been execution and that it had happened in front of him. That he wished that why are you playing around like this? You're disappointing me because I know how I want you to handle that. But the main thing I kept concentrating on was this oafish clown standing up there as President of the United States. Just this oafish clown laboring his way through basic elementary school reading of text and riffing on the text. So it's become such a normal thing that we don't even think about it anymore. But he riffs on his text. So he will labor through trying to sound out phonetically these words that are on the teleprompter, and then he will pause to do a kind of quippy commentary on them, so that even the slight pretext that he wrote any of this himself is out the window. But more than that, it's the slight pretext that he agrees with all of it is out the window. So you wonder, Whose words are these that the President of the United States is speaking at every official event? Whose words are they? He's making it completely obvious that they aren't his own. So whose are they? And don't we as Americans have a right to know that? And when he went off script, this thuggish, oafish clown, just, I know that I should have developed a thick skin for that by now. It's so far beyond embarrassment, this utter desecration of the office of president that will never, I was going to say it will never recover, but it's never going to get a chance to recover. No member of the Trump family is ever going to think that it needs to recover. If anything, it needs more $35 gold fixtures in the Oval Office. And no one is going to be in that job but a member of the Trump family. So they don't care. As long as the United States and the world is just a piggy bank for more money. For more money. That's literally it. That's all. I don't care if it's a radioactive cinder as long as I have all the money. I just kept thinking about that, about this slurring, slushy, marble-mouthed, idiot, oafish thug threatening people and implying threats, like some sort of roadshow Sopranos. Just, anyway, that's not getting us anywhere. That Knesset speech was the only thing on my mind for the world stage. So we can move to the U.S. And there's a little story in the U.S. that really managed to irritate me. Anyway, the Trump court denied Alex Jones's suit to throw out his verdict. He had a massive financial verdict laid against him in the lower court, for his conspiracy mongering about the Sandy Hook massacre of little children. The plaintiffs in that case were awarded millions and millions and millions of dollars, far more than Alex Jones professes that he has, and probably more than he even does have. And he appealed the case to the Trump court, and they denied his appeal. And I saw that story, and I thought, well, okay, but this means absolutely nothing. I don't know how it means absolutely nothing. It wouldn't mean absolutely nothing to you or me, but it means absolutely nothing now. Alex Jones has a judgment of like $15 million against him, more than that, 10 times that much. He has a judgment against him of such financial size that it is designed for one purpose and one purpose only, which is to remove him from public life. It's to remove him from public life. And he hasn't gone anywhere from public life. He has his show. The lights are still on in his studio. He is still doing as many shows as he's still hawking products, nothing has changed at all. It's not even a blip on the radar. So in some circles, in Trumpian circles, you can have $100 million, $200 million judgment defined against you, and it doesn't mean anything. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Instead of being shut down, the purpose of the size of that judgment was to shut him down so that he can live. He can have an apartment over an auto shop. He can do, microwave dinners for the rest of his life. But he can't have a show because he doesn't have any money. Because he owes every penny to the people whose lives he destroyed. And that isn't going to happen. So it's just so surreal to me. It's just another example of how surreal this world is that we live in now in the 21st century. So that's the world and the U.S., and they are both negative. So we'll move on to broader YouTube, which is purely positive. Because in broader YouTube, I had two of my favorite non-BookTube channels merge, and that was wonderful. There is a Bigfoot channel, Bob Gymlan, no relation to Patterson Gimlin. Bob Gymlan is the name of the young guy that does the channel. It is the best Bigfoot channel of them all. Some of you might know him because he went on Joe Rogan. I'm trying not to hold that against him. I don't know how much it upped his profile, but I'm hoping that it nudges him to write a book on Bigfoot. That would be great. But his Bigfoot videos are fantastic. But he is omnivorously curious. He even on his own channel about Bigfoot, his videos range to all sorts of other things, famous man-eating animals and mysterious events and whatnot. And just recently, he did a long video on sharks, on shark attacks on humans. And he does a really good job narrating the shark attacks on humans in one particular calendar year. And true to the nature of his Bigfoot channel, he has a theory. He's not just recounting the events. He has a theory. And his theory is one that I have long held myself, which means it must be correct. Which is that shark attacks are going drastically underreported in the world. Enormously underreported. He goes through the statistics and he goes through the various areas of the world and incredulously asks, showing you a map, are you telling me that you expect me to believe that this entire area of the world had no shark attacks at all on humans in the year in question? None? I simply don't believe it. I simply don't. And he also talked about there's a database for shark attacks, and he correctly points out that the people who run that database pretty much won't classify something as a shark attack unless there's an eyewitness. And there's a reason for that. The shark attack file, the shark attack, various oceanographic institutes and agencies, they don't want to continue an unbelievable pogrom against sharks of all kinds. Sharks at various points in the last 30 years or more, since Peter Benchley's novel and Steven Spielberg's movie, have been hunted almost to the brink of extinction, some species. And no one wants that. Better by far to teach humans not to go swimming in the ocean than to exterminate the sharks that will hunt them if they do. And that was another charming element of Bob Gimlin's video, is that he, like me, finds it utterly incomprehensible why someone would swim in the ocean for recreation. I have gone into the ocean when I needed to clean my hull. But otherwise, just the shore, just the breakers. And even there, you're not safe. But this film footage that I see all over Instagram of people, out in the middle of nowhere, diving off their boat into the water, or scuba diving, or fishing, spear fishing, on a reef in a shark's hunting area, and then the shark bites your arm off, and what do you say for the rest of your life? I just don't understand it. No, I've never understood that at all, and thankfully Bob Gimlin doesn't either. But the reason why I called it a merging of two of my favorite non-BookTube YouTube channels is because towards the end of his video, he shouts out the channel Sharks Happen, which I have championed on this channel as well. I've mentioned Sharks Happen many times as a great shark attack channel, where Hal, the host, again, I've said this before about him, I don't think he and I would agree on much, personally, politically. I don't think we would agree on much. But he's a very careful sifter of shark attack records. And like Bob Gimlin, he's a little impatient with the fact that these agencies aren't calling shark attacks when the shark attack is the only obvious thing indicated. I think those agencies are operating from a place of good faith. I think they want to avoid a bloodbath. But it's still irresponsible in a way. If a mangled body washes up on shore and it's been in the water for 10 hours, it's likely that person was killed by a shark. And these shark indexes that rack up the official statistics for shark attacks don't want to make that call. They're perfectly willing to admit post-mortem shark ravaging of a body, but they don't want to call it a shark attack and fatality unless they know for sure that's what it is. And I don't know exactly which side of that controversy, that question I come down on, but boy, was it great to watch these two channels and to hear Bob Gimlin sing the praises of of Sharks Happen when Hal at Sharks Happen is creating a database of shark attacks that is better, more responsive to the actual facts than any current shark attack database. Mainly because, like Bob Gimlin, he looks at vast stretches of Indonesia or South America and says, "You're telling me there were no shark attacks in those waters in all this time? I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You no sooner have to dive off a boat in that water before you are surrounded with sharks. You mean to tell me there were no fatalities in all that time in those circumstances? I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you have a large enough boat, something that casts a shadow, something that fish will hide underneath, then you have a shark attending you, at least one, that is big enough to kill you if you jump in the water. And a lot of the bigger boats than that dump garbage into the water, which is because we're talking about humans. Their garbage is 90% food. Anyway, it was a wonderful merging. I will definitely link to Bob Gimlin's video, and I remember I'll link to Sharks Happen again, just so you know. I'm not sure if Bob Gimlin actually links to Sharks Happen, the channel. I mean, I assume that he does, but I didn't look at the metadata on his channel. So I'll try to remember to link to both. So there we go. That's YouTube. Then we can move on to BookTube. And for BookTube, I have two things that I want to recommend. One is, again, Michael K Vaughan, who a lot of you will know has a 500 book buying challenge, where he is determined to read 500 books that he already owns before he buys another book. There are exceptions. Graphic novels don't count. He can take gifts from people. But he's not going to buy anything on his own until he reaches 500 books from his collection. Now, at the time that he did that book buying ban, a few other channels were doing book buying bans, but they were doing 100 books, 50 books, 200 books, not 500. Something that he knew perfectly well would take him years to do. And God love him, he is sticking to it. He did a video just recently, I'll leave a link to it down below, where he has 200 books left. When his buying ban will be over. And I know personally that buying ban is strict, because he went to the Brattle Bookshop in Boston with me and did not buy anything because he was on a book buying ban. So it'll be the video, if you watch it, I'm sure you watch it anyway, but it'll be a testimony to the strength of will that a lot of you don't have when it comes to not buying books. And then the other channel that I want to recommend this time around is Secret Fire Books. I did a review of The Weird of the White Wolf by Michael Moorcock, an Elric book, and it's terrific. Just terrific. Oh, I'd love to see Elric get such intelligence consideration on BookTube. So I'll link both of those there down below. That was a lot of fun for BookTube. And then there's we can finish up with the subject of me, and the subject of me is also the first two letters in meteorological, because all I've been thinking about for the last 2.5 days has been rain. It has been raining nonstop, downpouring nonstop here in Boston for 2.5 days. Every minute of every day. So there's the faintest hint of an awareness of sunrise, that it's actually daytime, but can't really tell that. And the rain is just sluicing down everywhere. So walking my little baby, there she is, walking her has been impossible. She does not want to walk when it's raining. She does not want to pee or poop when it's raining. So that's been a tense negotiation several times a day, every day. Exercise, out of the question for both of us, because I would love a nice long walk in the rain. That would be wonderful. But I'm not going to leave her, and she wouldn't do it. And also, it's been a little difficult for the Steve food pantry that I am for a bunch of people who live around here. My sparrows out in the front hedges, of course, cannot hunt. They cannot go and they cannot forage for food in a steady downpour, which means that they would basically go without. They would basically go without. They would just tough it out lower their metabolism and wait. And they don't want to do that, and I don't want them to do that. So I have been putting out extra food for them in the shelter of the porch, which wasn't easy to do because a couple of I'd say probably a full day of this rain was slightly slanted, so there wasn't really a dry place. There's a little bit of rattan furniture on the porch that is supposed to be durable in all weather, and underneath that rattan furniture there are some dry spots, so I was able to put food where my sparrows could get at it and could enjoy it. And the same thing is true in the yard in the back, where there are all sorts of four-footed creatures that like my handouts, but there's just nowhere. I had to construct a little lean-to that would create a dry space underneath it where I could put food and just hope for the best. And it turned out, yeah, if you put food anywhere out there, they're going to find it. I don't have to worry about that. So, but it looks like this rain is letting up. It's doing so very reluctantly. It does not want to let up, but it looks like it is. We should be getting back normal weather tonight or tomorrow, so that is great. I will be able to take my baby on a nice long walk. But in the meantime, that's the only me question. It's just that. It's just thinking about the rain. So I'll wrap this up, and I will find a whole bunch of new things to complain about next time. Thank you, BookTube.